Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. Still working on Love's Labour's Lost, and today we get to hear from Boyet in Act 4, Scene 1, which in the folio is just Act 4, but in other versions it's Act 4, Scene 1. And there will come like a sort of scene break at the end of today's thing, but in the folio, in the folio it's all one great big long scene. So anyway, Act 4, Scene 1, or just Act 4 as it is otherwise known, starts out with the Princess of France and the ladies out hunting. And yesterday we had the princess, they're just killing time until they get to prove to the king that money had been returned to him, so he needs to give them back money and also give them back Aquitaine. So they're killing time by hunting deer. And yesterday we had the Princess of France being very philosophical about it and being like, I don't really want to kill a deer. I have no ill feelings towards a deer, but if I kill the deer, then people will praise me. But if I just wound the deer, then that's not good. All this sort of stuff, blah, 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 blah. She gets very philosophical. But then Costard enters with a letter. Remember, he's got two letters. He has one letter from Armado to Jaconetta, and he has another letter from Baronne to Rosalind. So he comes in and he thinks that he's delivering the letter from Baronne to Rosalind, but he hands off the letter from Armado to Jaconetta. And he hands it off, and they're like, wait a second, this is actually addressed to Jaconetta. And the Princess of France is like, so what? Let's read it anyway and see what it has to say. And so Boyet gets to be the one to read it out loud. And he says, by heaven, that thou art fair is most infallible. True, that thou art beauteous. Truth itself, that thou art lovely, more fairer than fair, beautiful than beauteous, truer than truth itself. Have commiseration on thy heroical vassal. The magnanimous and most illustrious King Cophetua set eye upon the pernicious and indubitate beggar Xenophon, and he it was that might rightly say Veni Vidi Vici, which, to anathemize in the vulgar, O base and obscure vulgar, videlicet, he came, see, and overcame. He came, 1, see, 2, overcame, 3, who came? The king. Why did he come? To see. Why did he see? To overcome. To whom came he? To the beggar. What saw he? The beggar. Who overcame he? The beggar. The conclusion is victory. On whose side? The king. The captive is enriched. On whose side? The beggars. The catastrophe is a nuptial. On whose side? The king. No, on both in one, or one in both. I am the king, for so stands the comparison. Thou, the beggar, for so witnesseth thy lowliness. Shall I command thy love? I may. Shall I enforce thy love? I could. Shall I entreat thy love? I will. What? Shalt thou exchange for rags, robes, for tittles, titles, for thyself, me? Thus expecting thy reply, I profane my lips on thy foot, my eyes on thy picture, and my heart on thy every part. Thine in the dearest design of an industry, Donna Adriana de Armado. Thus dost thou hear the Nemean lion roar 'gainst thee, thou lamb that standest as his prey. Submissive fall his princely feet before, and he from forage will incline to play. But if thou strive, poor soul, what art thou then? Food for his rage, repasture for his den? So this is a letter. This letter is a mouthful and a half. And we knew before that Armado was verbose and liked to answer his own questions. So this whole letter, he's like equating himself to Caesar with the Veni Vidi Vici bit. He came, he saw, he overcame, but then he gets lost in his own proof of who's coming where to see who and overcome what. And he equates himself with the king who comes to see Jaconetta, to woo Jaconetta, and to win Jacanetta. It's very weird, and if I as a lady were to receive this sort of letter from a potential suitor, I would sort of be like, what? Especially by our like modern day terms. But basically what he's saying is what he's written down is that he is in love with Jacanetta because he has seen her, he is now coming to her, and he wants to overcome her, woo her, and lift her out of her lowly position in life, sort of a thing. And then at the end we've got Boyet commenting on this, saying that this is kind of ridiculousness, because there's still some confusion at this point about who, like, they can see that Armato wrote it, but they think that it's for Jacanetta because that's what's on the envelope. But when Costard gave it to them, he said it was for Rosalind. So there gets to be a little bit of play and jabbing and poking fun at Rosalind after this, saying, you're like, haha, this is in your future, kind of a thing. And eventually the princess leaves, but Rosalind and Boyet are there, and he's still needling her, and it turns into one of those, yeah, you wish you could get this, yeah, but you ain't never gonna get this, you don't get to hit this kind of conversation until Rosalind leaves. And then we've got Costard and Boyet and Catherine and Maria to sort of finish up all of the innuendo until everybody sort of gets called elsewhere off stage, Costard being the last one to leave. And in the folio it just switches to another part of Act 4 Scene 1, but in other versions that's the end of Act 4 Scene 1, so we're gonna end it there. The first letter has been mistakenly delivered, and yeah, now we got to figure out what other letters are going to be misdelivered, and who's in love with who, and how do we settle all of this stuff, and will the Princess of France get Aquitaine? Because I know that's really what everybody wants to know. So keep tuning in, subscribe, like, comment, all of that fun stuff that you're supposed to do with YouTube videos, and I will see you tomorrow for more, when we find out what Love's Labor actually wins and then loses. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah.